I'm here again today to talk to you more in depth about metabolism macros, which is the first component of the MAMA method. Today, I want to answer the question, is macro tracking hard? So before I get started, I want to talk a little bit more in depth about what macros are. And I've touched on this in my prior trainings, so make sure you go back and listen to those trainings where we focused on who should even be paying attention to this? And is it fat loss that you're desiring, or is it weight loss? What are the three main macronutrients and why each one is important? And then how to ensure that your diet is effective, efficient, and enjoyable. Okay, so go check out those videos. But for today, we're going to move forward with macro tracking. But I want to first start with dieting. Rules are for diets. A checklist of all the things you can and cannot do. And this is the problem. The rules, not you. You need to make a plan where you make the guidelines. With macros, you learn to read data. You make adjustments based on interpreting data. So that leads to the questions, are macros a diet? And I like to think of macros as a tool that you get to manipulate that tool for the results that you want. Okay, so just think about a hammer. Just like a hammer can be used to fix things or build things or hang a picture on your wall, that same hammer can be used to tear down walls or put holes in your walls. Macros can be utilized to lose weight, do a reverse diet, stay in maintenance, and maybe even build muscle. But you have to make sure that you're using macros correctly and not just turning it into yet another diet. Macros are essential for making sure that you're getting out of a plateau or from preventing you from gaining all that weight back after you've lost it, from gaining all that weight back. Macros ensure that you get enough, that you want to get the smallest effective dose to still get incredible results, but also be able to make it achievable. When we don't get enough, we don't fuel our metabolism. So if you want to fuel that fire, you want to fuel that fire. What happens when you don't put fuel on a fire? It starts to smolder and it's just there. But when you put fuel on the fire, food on the fire, it burns stronger and bigger, which is what can happen when we add calories back in a reverse diet. And then I just want to reiterate, well, I guess I haven't even told you this, macros aren't forever. I think a lot of people get scared of tracking macros because they feel like they're going to have to do it forever because it's a lifestyle. But it's not like that. To really be an educated, intuitive eater, I believe you need to track macros for a period of time so that you know how to fuel yourself appropriately. So intuitive eating, it's really a skill. But before you can get there, you need to practice that intentional maintenance first. Okay, so as I stated before, macros are a tool. It's not a diet. You adjust your macros based on your goal and then the results of the data. The phases of nutrition are a deficit or cut. This is what most people consider a diet. And that's when you reduce the calories to achieve weight loss. And you want to use macros, particularly protein, in that cut to ensure that you keep your muscle. You want to keep your lean muscle, but you also you want to lose the fat. So let's keep the muscle and lose the fat. And that's why we prioritize protein in that deficit. Because really, do you want to lose fat or weight? We want to lose fat. Okay. So the reverse diet is the next step. It's the process of increasing your metabolism. Now, this can happen after the cut or before the cut, if you've currently been eating low calorie and you're not seeing results, it's probably time to reverse diet so that you can be more effective in future cuts, because you've increased your metabolism, or you've increased your maintenance through your metabolism. So maintenance. I don't know why that people get so scared of maintenance, but maintenance is a great place to be intentionally. So maintenance is where we should be intentionally most of the time. And a lot of people get like, they're in maintenance, but they're like cut during the week and then high on the weekend. And so it like just levels out to maintenance. And it's so frustrating because we're like, but I'm working so hard and nothing's happening, because we just have that, we're really not. And due to that process, we've lowered our maintenance. We've lowered our metabolism in that process. I'm not talking about maintaining that low calorie that you use to lose the weight. I'm talking about a maintenance up here after the reverse, where you have the food freedom to enjoy more food and to really fuel your workouts, to get better sleep and have more energy. And then the bulk. A bulk is the ideal environment to build muscle. If you've been desiring a like toned look, toned isn't really a true word for muscle, but if you're looking for that look, chances are you could benefit from a bulking phase to gain the muscle that you need to actually show it off during a deficit or a cut. Okay, so the topic that you're excited about, that we've been talking about since the beginning, let's move on. Is tracking macros hard? So first of all, what does hard mean to you? Is it hard, or does it just take some dedication to learn? Is it hard, or do you just need to decide you want to do it? Is it hard if you get the results that you've always desired? What if instead of calling it hard, which is a belief that it's hard, because to me it's not hard, so that means it's not true, let's replace it with the words effective, optimized, efficient. And let's face it, the apps just keep getting more and more efficient and making it easier and easier on you. So there's bar scanning, those barcode scanning, recipe copying, you can copy days, you can copy meals to other days, etc. So the apps are making it more and easier for you. And so I kind of compare it to like getting a new phone. And that first day that you get the new phone, you kind of want to like chuck it across the room, right? Does anyone else feel that way when you get a new phone, or is it just me? Okay. So at first you're like, I hate this, but it takes a couple days, especially with the phone. It takes me maybe 2 days of using it, and then you're back to normal and you're enjoying all like the additional features this new phone has. And so that overwhelming feeling is why I created a bonus inside my program called Metabolism Macros in 20 minutes a day. So you start off tracking in only 20 minutes a day. And even if 20 minutes seems like a lot, I can assure you that I spend less than 5 minutes tracking my entire day. Even creating a brand new recipe only takes an extra 5 minutes after some practice. So it really comes down to the question for you. If you knew that counting macros would help you hit your body goal, how much time would you be willing to spend to do it daily? And it's not hard. It really is not hard. We need to really define, like, hard is a belief. And bonus, the way I track macros is different. Let's really focus on what matters. Yes, you can use a scale to measure your lettuce leaves, but is that action going to produce the results that you're looking for? No. Let's just focus on what's effective for real results, not the tiny little details that leave you overwhelmed and stuck. So in summary, is macro tracking hard? Well, if you tell yourself it's going to be hard, it's going to feel hard. That's your interpretation, your belief. and it will be a self-fulfilling prophecy. Just like if you wake up on the wrong side of bed and decide that your day is ruined, then you're going to be like, yep, we had this and we had this and we had this happen that ruined my day because I got up on the wrong side of the bed. However, you get to choose how you interpret macro tracking. I personally feel like it's super easy. Are you going to choose the belief that it's hard, or do it and get the proof that it's effective? So, how do I track macros? What do you need? Any tracking app, or you could even use paper and pencil to track. I use the MyFitnessPal app, and the free version is just fine. Now, with the MyFitnessPal specifically, do not track exercise. It will track that for you and give you more calories. Don't do that. And if you have the upgraded version, it has the option to use net carbs. We want to track total carbs in any app. Total carbs, not net carbs. And then when you start their program and they ask you for your weight and height and all that, they'll give you macro numbers. They are so very, very far off, and just know that those aren't very good numbers for you to start with. Okay, the second thing you need is a food scale to get enough. Remember how I talked about reframing your words? So you want to use these on especially calorie-dense foods to make sure you get enough. Again, you want to make sure you are getting the maximum amount and still seeing results, and measuring is a part of that. So like peanut butter would be my favorite example because it's one of my favorite foods. Like 2 tablespoons is a lot less than you think it is when you measure it. So just kind of keep that in mind. A way to picture this is strawberries. And you have a bowl of, you say you're going to have 1 cup of strawberries. Well, one person might pick out 3 big strawberries and they fit in that 1 cup. That's 3 strawberries, that's 1 cup. Or you could take 7 strawberries and cut them into halves and they would fit in the 1 cup. Or you could dice them up. This is what I would do. I would dice them up and I could get 12 strawberries in that same 1 cup. But those weigh different amounts. And strawberries aren't a great example because they're a low calorie food, but there's a big difference between 3 strawberries and 12 strawberries. But I could get 12 strawberries in the same cup that 3 whole strawberries fit in. So that's why we measure using a food scale. Another one would be oatmeal. Like when you measure a cup of oatmeal and then you weigh it, the weight is different than the cup. So just things like that, it is different. Okay, so then we need to find out you specifically, your initial data. First, you need to find out where you are right now. So I want you to track your normal, no judgment, no changing anything, intake for a week. This should absolutely include the weekend because the weekend eating is usually different than weekday eating for a lot of people. It was for me. And maybe this is you. You're really dialed in during the week, and then Friday hits and it's queso, chips, and cocktails, or donuts and pizza. And you get mad at yourself for giving in to all those treats that you were able to avoid during the week. I hear ya, because that was me. But we need that data. We need to know if you're eating 1,000 calories or 3,000 calories so we could set those starting macros in the right phase of nutrition. You can compare your actual number then to a TDEE calculation to see about where your maintenance could be. Now, I will say with TDEE calculators, there's several of them using different equations, and they're going to give you different numbers. So it is also not 100% accurate, or even like 80, like it's not accurate. Each calculator is going to give you a different number. So you don't want to necessarily just use that information to calculate your starting macros. It is not, it's going to take your gender, your height, your weight, your exercise into account. But it doesn't include your body composition, your prior dieting history, the length of time you've been in a cut, your lifestyle, your preferences, your current intake, your stress, your sleep, and all those other things that matter to setting your macros. And that's why these online calculators aren't always able to give you the best starting calories for you, let alone macros on top of that. So you really need a plan that's custom to you, and starting off with that week of tracking and using that as like a guidepost is a really great place to start. So then you take your maintenance, where you are now, say you're eating 3,000 calories and you would cut down 20%. About 20% is a good starting point. And then you want your protein to be 1 gram per pound of goal body weight. So like if you are 150 pounds and your goal is 140, your protein goal would be 140 grams. And then you want your total calorie percent to be at least 30% for fats. Now, I set them at 30%, and then you can tweak your fats and carbohydrates to your preferences. Now, there's reasons you would increase that fat percentage up a little bit higher to support more hormone things that are going on specific to you. But basically cut about 20% of your maintenance, and then 1 gram per pound of goal body weight, and at least 30% of your calories coming from fat. Okay, so then the next step is data collection. You want to measure and data collect your actual macros eaten. Now, that doesn't, like, a lot of times we start tracking macros and like, oh man, I'm going to miss my macros for the day. So we just stop tracking. We want that data, because what if what if you go over and you're still losing with that information? Or maybe you're not. It's a measure of consistency. We also want to know how much exercise you're doing, your scale weight, your measurements, your waist measurements, progress pictures. If you're lifting weights, we especially want measurements to see if you're gaining muscle, or if you are, if the scale stays the same, if the measurements are decreasing. All those things go into account. You want to take these numbers initially, and then we're going to track them along the way to make adjustments to keep your plan efficient. Remember, I talked about this. I stressed how important efficiency is. We don't just have your starting macros are not going to be your ending macros, and it just doesn't happen like that. So what is the exact formula? Well, like I kind of talked about, there isn't one. You have a different starting place and point, and have a different history and a different goal. So it would be impossible for me to give you some cookie cutter plan that's going to fit everyone that's listening to this. But you could start taking action, messy action, because it's action. Just like we outlined in that previous slide, tracking your normal intake, compare it to your TDE, and just get started. And so I just gave you all this information. Why would you ever need a coach or me? I mean, I told you exactly what to do. Just go do it, right? Well, we've probably been there, done that. We've tried that before, and it's just not that easy. And I hired a coach too, because it's just not that easy. You could just go do it. Take messy action, and I hope you do. But if all it was finding the right equation and setting your macros and hitting them, then why is coaching still a thing? If education was the answer, then everyone could just have anything they could learn. But it's more about the application. Your doctor didn't just go to school. They also did internships and application-based learning. They had preceptors and other doctors training them before they were like cut loose to let them, prescribe medications for you. And yes, there is education in my programs. Of course, I have a lot of education, and I'm going to give you lots of advice, and I'm going to be cheering you on. But where a coach really shines is the accountability. You sign up and you've made an investment in yourself. Now that's powerful. And the accountability of checking in with a coach is tremendous. To have the accountability to stay on track and have those adjustments being made for you based on you specifically. And then having a coach can help you see the things that are keeping you stuck, to get you out of your head, to help you see another perspective. This is transformational coaching. And I just want to end here by saying, if you're looking for coaching, if you think this is the right next step for you, email me back, reach out to me through DMs, comment on a post. Just let me know that you are interested, and we will see if you're a good fit. That comes before getting you signed up. Let's see if you're a good fit for me and if I'm a good fit for you. All right, I hope you guys enjoyed this. Let me know what questions are coming up.